Dennis, there's been some inconsistencies in your story. Okay.
This is Dennis Oland. He and his family have been brought into questioning about his father's death that occurred on July 7, 2011. The interview has already gone for approximately 2 hours. That has consisted of rapport building by the detectives and Dennis recalling his whereabouts at the time of his father's murder. What Dennis doesn't know is that he's being interviewed separately from his family because the police have made him the prime suspect. Richard Oland was bludgeoned to death inside of his St. John, Brunswick office, and the crime scene is described as having blood covering every wall of the office and even seeping through the ground to the office below. Typically, attacks this brutal have a personal motivation attached to them, and the suspects of the crime are usually connected to the victim in a meaningful way. It isn't uncommon for the police to look into the family of the victim to start off, and they were fully convinced Dennis was their man.
And I just want you to pay attention to me. I'm going to read some things to you, okay? Right now. And this is right to counsel. And it says, before you say anything, it's my duty to inform you that you have the right to retain and instruct legal counsel without delay. Do you understand that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. You have the right to telephone the lawyer of your choice. You also have the right to free advice from a legal aid lawyer. If you're later charged with an offense, you may then apply to legal aid for assistance. You have the right to speak to the lawyer in private. If you wish to speak to a lawyer now, you can call a lawyer of your own choice, or you can call duty counsel toll-free for legal advice right now. Do you understand that?
I do.
What do you want to do about your right to contact a lawyer right now?
Given how uncomfortable I'm feeling, yes, I would, sure.
Okay.
To exercise my right.
I would like to exercise my right. And that's your right to a lawyer, as we understand that.
Yes.
Okay. You need not say anything. You have nothing to hope from any promise of favor, nothing to fear from any threat, whether or not you say anything.
Say that again.
You need not say anything. You have nothing to hope from any promise of favor, and nothing to fear from any threat, whether or not you say anything. Anything you do say, maybe you get given as evidence. Do you understand?
I understand the last sentence.
Okay, that all that means is you have nothing to hope from any promise of favor of me promising you anything.
No, yeah.
And nothing to fear from any threat.
Yeah.
Whether you say anything or not.
Yeah.
And anything you say may be given in evidence. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Can I get you to just sign there that you do understand that?
Right here.
Yeah. And this is a secondary caution. You must understand that anything said to you previously should not influence you, nor make you feel compelled to say anything at this time. Whatever you felt influenced or compelled to say earlier, you're not now obliged to repeat. Nor are you obliged to say anything further, but whatever you do say may be given in evidence. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Just get you to sign that as well. Having said that, you said you'd like to exercise your right to speak to a lawyer. Do you have anybody in mind that you'd like to speak to?
Yeah, I
Okay.
have a good friend who's a lawyer.
Why don't we take care of that right now then?
Okay.
Well, it was an opportunity for you to speak to your lawyer.
That's
okay. You don't have to tell me what you said. You had an opportunity to speak to him. Okay. So if you just want to have a seat right here again.
Sure.
Okay. Dennis, given our conversation, there's no doubt in my mind that you did this.
Did what?
You had involvement in this death. And I want to know why. Okay? I want to find out the reasons why.
Okay, you just told me in a piece of paper that I should be talking to a lawyer.
Yes.
And, shouldn't say anything, do anything unless I talk to a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've done that, and now you're at me.
I'm just asking you. Okay, we're having a conversation here.
Okay, but I think that what the conversation probably should end, because
Okay.
I don't like it.
Okay.
And I think that from what I read on there, that I shouldn't be saying anything if I
Okay.
don't like what's going on.
Right, but it's your opportunity for us to talk, okay? And to find out reasons why.
Because of your tone and what you just said, I choose not to take advantage of that opportunity.
Okay, but this is an opportunity for you to talk to me about why that offends you. Why do you...
You just accused me of being the cause of death of my father. So don't like that at all.
Okay. Did you?
No.
Did you do it?
No.
Okay.
But look, can we just... You just said to me, Dennis, I think you need a lawyer, so
There's an opportunity to speak to a lawyer. At that point, you did speak to a lawyer. And now I want to have the conversation with you, okay? I want to have the conversation between you and I. And I want to talk about why, okay? Why did this happen?
I don't want to talk about anything because nothing happened.
Something did happen.
Not with me.
Okay. I believe something did happen. I want to find out the reasons why. Okay? And I want you to share that with me, okay?
Why wouldn't you allow me to share that with you, with my lawyer person?
Okay. That's private between you and your lawyer
Okay,
to talk
but-
to. I want to talk to you now, okay?
Okay, but-
Just me and you.
Keep it. Why wouldn't we just wait till my lawyer was here?
Okay. Because this is a conversation between you and I.
Yeah, but we could have that conversation with the lawyer as well.
We could, but that's private between you and your lawyer. And
So
this is-
why don't you allow me the opportunity to have that private discussion with my lawyer?
Okay, that was you speaking to him in the room was your private opportunity to speak to a
No,
lawyer.
that was my asking, and I understood from what you were telling me
Mhm.
that if I wanted to have a lawyer, that I should get a lawyer.
Okay, that was your
So that's what
opportunity
I
to
did.
speak to a lawyer.
So all I did is say, they're telling me I should have a lawyer, can you come in?
Okay,
So that's all I did.
okay, that was your opportunity. As I read in there, to speak to a lawyer. I asked you what you wish to do. You said you'd like to speak to a lawyer now. You spoke to your lawyer in private.
Okay.
Which you did. Okay.
First off, the lawyer I spoke to was a friend who knows nothing about any of this stuff, and he said he's calling another guy to come in.
Okay.
And
do you want to talk to me now?
no,
Would you like to talk to me now?
I would not like to talk to you right now.
Okay.
I would like,
What is the reason?
because you're making me feel really uncomfortable,
Okay.
and you've got your mind made up.
Okay. Again, it's an opportunity for us, at this time, to talk and to find out reasons why. Okay? And I do want to talk about that.
Yeah, I'm not talking to you.
Okay.
My lawyer advised me over and over on the phone, don't talk to these
Okay.
people, don't say another
I
word.
understand that.
Okay?
But I want to know the reasons why, and I want to get, to know the reasons why.
I'd like you to back off.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. There are reasons, and there are always reasons for these things, and I want to know what your reason is. Okay.
Do I have to turn and put my hand?
No,
on
you
the
don't.
ground? Okay,
No,
just
you don't.
back off.
Okay. But we can talk between you and I.
No, we
Okay.
can't.
There's no reason why the two of us can't have a conversation.
Yes, there is, because my lawyer told me we can't.
Okay.
So we can't.
I understand that. We
You
can.
don't respect it, though.
That's your
Please
lawyer's
respect it.
advice.
Yes, it is, and
Right.
I have to take his advice.
Okay. But we can talk. You and I.
No.
Okay.
We can't. I was told not to.
We can between the two of us.
No,
It's
we
your
can't.
it's your choice to talk.
I choose not to.
Okay. But listen, we want to get the reasons why, okay, this happened, and we want to go further from there. Dennis, you and I have to talk here and have this conversation, okay? I need to know the reasons why. I want you to share that with me. Dennis, look at me.
Yeah.
There's a reason for this. There's always a reason. Okay?
Doing what
I
my
understand.
lawyer told me.
I understand. Listen, I understand the relationship you and your father had wasn't a good one. He was very strained. He was hard on you. You never amounted to what he wanted. That bothered you. I'm sure that resentment carried through your whole life, even to now.
I never said that. I didn't. He was very proud of me. I never said that
Okay,
he didn't
said
amount to what.
You guys had a strained relationship. It wasn't a regular father-son relationship. There was always that where you had to be, you know, to a certain level he held you to. If you did something wrong, look at the cake. My God, you know, you went to light some rum on fire, it went out in 30 seconds or less, and he gets mad at you. That's tough. That kind of stuff sticks with you, right? Over the years. And I understand that. I understand it can be hard. And when those things happen over and over again, that builds up. You know? People just don't laugh that off and say, oh, that doesn't bother me. I know it affected you. And I know that would bother me too. But everybody's got a point. I think you had a point. Would you agree with me? It built up to a certain point. We've all got a breaking point. This was yours. How did that make you feel? You know, all the time, family functions in front of everybody, you know? Embarrassing you, embarrassing everybody, you know, of these things. Whenever you tried to do something with him, he would belittle you, tell you how to do something. You're a grown man. That would bother me, and I think it bothered you too. Dennis? I know it must have been hard on you. Carrying that all through those years, even now as a man. Could be very, very frustrating. Was this something, you know, that was spontaneous, or was it something planned that you had for years thinking, I'm going to do this, or was it something that just happened because there was a fight? There was something that happened that just happened spontaneously. Dennis, we need to talk here. You and I have to talk to each other, okay? I want you to talk to me. I want you to share that with me. Tell me how that made you feel, growing up like that. Dennis? Like I said, there's reasons for everything. I want to know your reason. Can you tell me what your reason is, Dennis? Why this happened? Like I said, is it something planned, or was it something that just happened? Something that, where you couldn't take any more? Or something, just happened and you couldn't control it? There's a lot of, like I said, a lot of rage and a lot of madness that's likely inside that would bother me too. Of always being told what to do, never being able to live your own life without him having some control over it. Telling you what to do, where you can go, where you can live, how to do this, how to do that. Like I said, everybody's got that point. And they can't take any more. Can you share it with me? Dennis? Listen, I want to hear from you, okay? I just want to talk to you. I want to find the reason why. I want you to share that with me. Was this something planned? Was this something, that was thought of methodically through the years? I mean, that takes a certain type of person to do that. Are you that type of person? Or are you more or less the person that, like we all are, has a breaking point? Can't take much more, It gets to a certain point. I don't think you're that person to think over and over and over and over and go through things. And is that what type of person you are? I mean, that type of person, they don't have much remorse. It's thought of, they carry it out, and they know what they're doing. The spontaneous side, people have remorse because it's something that happened spontaneously, but they don't think about it until after. At that point, unfortunately, things change. Can you talk to me? Dennis? I don't think you're a bad person. I think bad things happen, and I want to know the reason why. Can you share that with me? Just you and I? I want you to be able to, okay? If you did, I want you to be able to. And I want you to tell me why, so I can understand that. As I said, I don't think you're a bad person. But there is a reason, and there's a reason for everything. I want to know your reason. Can you share that with me? What are you thinking right now?
That I was told to keep my mouth shut, so I'm keeping my mouth shut.
Okay. That's advice. We can also talk as men, you and I, one-on-one. We can have that conversation.
But because I was told not to, I will not.
Okay. As I said, I mean, it's a conversation you and I can have, okay? And I want to know the reason. Like I said, was it something that happened, or did you methodically think this out? Which is to me, somebody who doesn't have much of a soul, much of a heart, if you're thinking something like this out, or is it something spontaneous that just happened? I think that's the type of guy you are, not the other kind. Is that right, Dennis? Am I wrong in thinking that? You can tell me that. Am I wrong in thinking that? Is that what type of guy you are? Methodical, cold? I don't think you are. Can you tell me? I know I'm not. I know I'm right. Something that happened spontaneously. And I know there's a reason for it, isn't there? Dennis, I know there's a reason in there. I want you to share it with me. Can we do that? Am I right in saying that, it's spontaneous and you're not cold and methodical? Please share that with me. We've been sitting here together, and you get a feel for a person, and that's a feeling I have. Am I right? Like I said, I don't think so. I don't think you're cold, heartless. You don't seem that way to me. But something did happen, and it was spontaneous. Like I said, those sort of things you don't think of until after, but it's not planned out. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was planned out. I don't know, but I don't think so.
Hi, Dennis. Dennis, I'm Keith Copeland of the Major Crime Unit. Steve Davidson's partner. I've been watching this interview since it started. I've been involved in this investigation right from the get-go. It's very clear to me that you, Dennis, are in a very bad place. You're in way over your head, and a lot of confusion in your mind as to what's happening, how it got this far. So let me explain to you how it got this far, because it's been very interesting for me to be able to sit back and watch all of this that's going on. And as a police officer, I've 28 years experience, and you get to know a little bit about people, in generalities, that is. But you see things that people are saying. You know how people communicate. People communicate in many different ways, as you understand. People communicate verbally, like I am with you here now. But people also communicate non-verbally. Do you know what I mean by that, Dennis? Body language. Sometimes when people communicate, they communicate verbally, they lie. Sometimes when people are lying, they don't remember their lies. And they trip up and they stumble. Because, you know what, people who are good, honest people, who don't make a habit of lying, find it difficult to maintain a story and remember what they said before because it was a lie. You don't remember lies. Good, honest people don't remember lies because it's a lie. Why would you remember it? You know, you don't want to say it in the first place. An honest person remembers their story clearly from start to finish because it's honest, it's true, it's cohesive, it's the way it happened. So when Steve asked you questions related to what took place, the sequence of events, your story changed. It wasn't the same. You wrote down your story. Do you remember doing that, Dennis, when you wrote your story down? So you wrote down what happened. Well, we do things with those stories. It's called statement analysis. And it's very powerful stuff, what statement analysis tells us. Certain weights that people put on certain things in their statements, and weight that should be in one place isn't there, and all that sort of stuff. So there's a lot of stuff that goes on in police investigations. But what really happens is what we're doing right now, communicating. You're communicating to me whether you say anything to me or not. And I'm hoping that as time goes on, you will open up and communicate, because there's absolutely no doubt in my mind, Dennis, that you're not a bad person. You're just in a very, very bad situation. And bad things happen to good people. You have to know that we've spoken to many, many people throughout the course of this investigation, although it's a very short period of time. Most of what you see on television is false. You know, your assertion that you should have your lawyer present during questioning and all that sort of stuff is false. It's American TV. Television isn't real, and especially American television.
Why would my lawyer tell me to just sit tight and not say anything until he shows up? I have to believe that that's true.
Well, the advice that your lawyer gives you to say whatever he tells you to say is just advice between him and you. And he might hope that he could come here and expect to speak with you, except that Bill Teed is not a criminal lawyer. Of respectability and truth. But Dennis, I've been doing this for a long time. And sitting out there watching this camera, watching that camera, watching your reactions, the way you talk, your body language and your posture and the things you say, they tell me, as a seasoned investigator, a whole lot of things. And so you add things to your story, because Steve is saying, well, what about this? What about that? Do you remember this? So how am I so sure, Dennis, that your story is not true? Well, the inconsistencies include the fact that you show up there and then decide to leave because you want to go back to your office and get something. Well, your office is a stone's throw from your father's office. Did you not throw a stone from there? Pretty darn close, that's for sure. A good picture could, that's for sure. We have no bones about that. You're just going back to the office to pick up something that is very important to you, your genealogy, and you want to show it to the old man. So you're going to go back to the office, oh, gee, I forgot something. I'm going to have a piss, I'm going to go have a whiz, then I'm going to go back to the office to pick that up. But you tell us that instead of walking back, you get in your car and drive. back to the office. And along that route, you're thinking to yourself, well, am I going to go back or am I not? I don't know if I am or not. Not quite sure. But here's the problem for you, Dennis. That story can easily be disproved. Because you know in this day and age of technology, there are surveillance cameras everywhere you look. And even if you look, you can't see them all. So, surveillance cameras on traffic lights, you've heard of red light traffic cameras? They're everywhere. So you told us that you've driven into a dead-end parking lot, up a dead-end street, up a one-way street the wrong way, all that sort of stuff. Well, Dennis, you have to know that we can verify that through surveillance cameras at corner stores, at red light cameras, at Brunswick Square. Because we know the time of day that you say you did this. We know the car that you're driving. It's so easy to prove that that part, a very key part of your story, is not true. That's the fatal flaw. So the question is, why did this happen? Not did it happen, we know that. The question is why. And Dennis, we can disprove what you've already told us. And where does that leave you once you don't have that? Once you have the lie that you've told us, what after that? The only thing left after the lie, Dennis, for an honest person who made an honest mistake, is the truth. And the truth is, your father was a mean son of a bitch. He controlled every penny that walked through that house. He disrespected your mother, didn't give her money, argued with her about how much she spent on groceries, made you pay your own way to go away with him. Oh, that's business, son. That's the way business people do it. You earn your own way or you don't go. Isn't that right? But yet he went wherever the hell he wanted. Yeah, I'll be gone. I'll be back. Maybe sometime, whenever. It's hard, Dennis. It is hard and it's brutal. But it happened. And now where do we go from here? How do we resolve this? This is your time, Dennis. Your lie has been exposed. Now, we need to decide. Is this a planned thing? No, you didn't plan this, Dennis. Because if you'd have planned this a much better way than you did. You would have had a better plan than this. Because the truth is, Dennis, you didn't have a plan. Did you just go there and get into an argument with him about money? Because you know what? Everything you've told me, Dennis, is about money. And if I grew up in your circumstances, with money all around you, at this stage of my life, I would expect to be sharing in some of that. Not battling with that son of a bitch every single day and having him control every aspect of my life because he wouldn't give up any of his goddamn money. You didn't plan this, Dennis. He brought this on. Pushed you, squeezed you, rubbed your face in the fact that he controls it all. Disrespected you, disrespected your mother. Yeah, I've got this little sweetie. And I'm taking her away. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Where's my $1,600, Dennis? You owe me $1,600 because I bailed you out. Jacqueline doesn't work much because she has lupus. Does he give Jacqueline a break? Lupus is a nasty disease. Nasty. Did he cut her a break, Dennis? No, he didn't. You told us that. Ruthless businessman. Nobody in your family. Nobody in your family. And I've watched some of the other interviews. I've heard the summaries from the other officers. I don't see any remorse. The old man's gone. The tyranny is over. When you live under that sort of thing, it's very difficult. Let me tell you about myself. I'm going to speak about myself for a little bit. I was the youngest of 6. My father left right after I was born. Never met him. And my mother resented, of course, the fact that she had 6 kids to bring up.
Can you tell the others that maybe they should go home?
They've already been spoken to, Dennis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I appreciate your concern for your family, because this is all about family. And they have been spoken to. So, my father left just after I was 6. And my mother resented that he had left. And rightfully so. I don't blame her for that. And she was left with us kids to bring up, and I was the youngest. And it was hard. And I'll give her that. I'll allow that. But unfortunately, I was made to pay for the sins of my father. And it was very, very difficult growing up in a life like that, where there wasn't a lot of love. And nothing I could do was right. Have you ever heard that before? Nothing you do is good enough. Nothing you do is right. And if it is right, well, it wasn't enough. That's the way I grew up. So I grew up like you did, to some degree. Not, I didn't have a lot, but love is a highly motivating factor for a lot of us in our lives. At any rate, Mother and I had our issues. It was never Mom, it was never Mummy, it was Mother. So we had our issues. I moved out of the house when I was 17 years old. I didn't have a place to go. I ended up in some shithole in the South End here when I was 17, and I never looked back. I couldn't stand her anymore. And so 3 years ago when she died, I hadn't had contact with her at all. And 3 years ago when she died, my reaction was quite similar to what we saw from your family, in that people didn't react quite normally. I remember my boss, and I mentioned that to him today actually, because he was at my mother's funeral, and he said that, because we commented on the fact that, you know, your family, the Olin family, doesn't seem overly upset about the passing of the old man. And he, you know, I said that, well, you know what? I said to him, my boss, I said that everybody doesn't react the same way to that sort of situation. And he's a sharp guy, and he said to me, he says, yeah, I was at your mother's funeral. He says, I know that. I know that you didn't get along with your mother. So it was like when I found, when my sister called me and told me, it was like, okay, shit, what's the right reaction I'm supposed to give here? Because I'm kind of ambivalent. She didn't do me any favors. She cursed me, physically abused me, and generally wasn't nice. So I don't have a lot of time for her, and now she's gone, and I'm supposed to go, oh, wow, that's bad, turn on the tears. Not happening. And Dennis, it's not happening for you either, for a lot more reasons than for me. You have, and rightfully so, an entitlement to what your father has. So does the rest of your family. You don't deserve to have it rubbed in your faces, and I can only imagine. I mean, here's a guy, I'm so powerful, you put a phone in your office, and when I call you, you answer that phone within 3 rings. That's how powerful I am. Man, when I heard you say that, I said, whoa, what an asshole. That's insane. What an ego. What an ego. So, your situation, Dennis, suddenly, through your own hand, has changed so dramatically. The question becomes, did Dennis plan this cold-bloodedly, sit down, meticulously plan this all the way through? I'm doing him. I'm killing the old man. I'm getting rid of him. Did he plan that every step of the way? Or did he go there to have a confrontation with Dad, to try and say, and bring some sense into this man, and say, look at what you're doing to this family, help us. Come around, find some common ground that we can resolve this. And then things went sideways, way beyond anything that you could have imagined. Dennis Olin, a chartered accountant, all of a sudden in a situation way beyond anything that he couldn't have pictured. Isn't that true, Dennis? You never ever planned to do anything like this. He drove this, just like he drove everything in life, made this happen. Not your choice. You didn't go there looking for this. Or did you? The inconsistencies in your story, Dennis, tells me what happened. But you know the rest of the story. There's only 2 people that know the rest of the story, as far as we know. There's other things that we have to check. And I'm just like, you've probably heard of the show Law and Order and 48 Hours and all that sort of stuff. And some of the stuff that they do is good. But we don't have access to all the technology that's available to us immediately. Things take time. So, for example, there's been at least 2 break-ins at the building of where your father's office was. Are you aware of that? There has been 2 break-ins there recently. So what do people do? In this day and age, Dennis, so many convictions, so many charges get laid against people because of surveillance cameras and surveillance videos and all that sort of stuff. Because everywhere. Guess what? If we were in London, England, this would be all done and over with, okay? Because they're everywhere and they're real time and all that sort of stuff. But we're not. For us, it means knocking on doors and saying, where's your camera? Who's that? You know, John, was it Ainsworth for Printing Plus? Okay, I can't remember. Anyway, that building's been broken into twice. When we get situations when there's break-ins, sometimes the police put surveillance cameras into places for people. Sometimes the people hire their own. Okay, these are all things that will take time, the traffic cameras and all that stuff. So you cannot unring that bell, Dennis. Do you know what I mean when I say unring a bell? When a bell gets rung, once the echo finishes, it's already been rung and there's no change in that. So what's happened can't be changed. The only thing that we can do from this point forward, Dennis, is deal with it. Face it and deal with it. Because it's still coming in. The interviews are still being done. People are still being talked to. The doors are being knocked on. Can I have your surveillance video? And one of the things that drives me absolutely nuts, because you know what? I don't do technology. You do technology. Your dad, your father, he did technology. Me? I'm a 50-year-old guy that really can just barely handle a friggin' cell phone. And that's the truth. So what happens is, and this makes me crazy, we go and we get surveillance video from people and they give it to us. Well, why can't I just stick the bloody thing into my computer and make it play? Because, well, it's all proprietary formats and we have to, so we've got to go to our IDENT people and all that. They've got to decode it with some sort of media thing. I don't know. I don't even know. I don't care. I get them, I put them aside. Fix this for me. So Dennis, all of that is coming to us. And you know that. Within your heart, you know that. And I can see how overwhelmed you are and defeated by what's happened. And I fully understand that. So where do you go from here, Dennis? Where do you go from here? Is there a plan for that? Is there a plan for it? Besides, wasn't me, didn't do it, can't prove a thing? Pop culture. Bart Simpson. Wasn't me, didn't do it, can't prove a thing. Well, let me show you this video here, Mr. Simpson. Ah, it wasn't me. It's right here. Tandy's restaurant. You familiar with Tandy's restaurant? Right across the street. They have a camera pointing right out the door. That's just one. I'm not making this up, Dennis. I want to give you the opportunity to tell me how this happened. To tell me that it wasn't cold-blooded. That it was a spur-of-the-moment thing. I want you to have that opportunity. What did he say to put you over? We know that when he came back from this trip, that he made changes to his will. Did he tell you that? Is that what happened? Is that what put you over the edge, Dennis? Did he tell you that? Did you guys argue about something? And he whacked you with that? I don't know. I'm just asking. You know, people allow for the fact when somebody is demanding, as overbearing as your father was, and the control he exerted over everybody's lives, pushes people to the brink. You went through a nasty divorce. So instead of, at the age of, what are you, 40 something, 40, how old? I know. So instead of, you're in your 40s, that's for certain. So at a time in your life when you should be financially secure, you're an accountant, you're a money man, you grew up with money. Instead, by your own admission, you've said to us, your father bailed you out. Something he hasn't done for other people in the family. Hasn't shown them the same kind of, what's the word, not respect, that's for sure. He hasn't done that for anybody else. He did it for you. Not only did he do it for you, but he did it in a very big way. We're talking a lot of money. But even that didn't make enough difference, because you're still in financial straits. At your age, you're in financial straits, difficulties. That's tough to deal with, especially when you're looking at that man who has all that. Not only does he have all that, he's screwing you over, making you pay every cent, making your sister pay rent on the farm that the family owns. Do I understand that correctly, or did I misunderstand that? Because I thought I understood that she had to pay rent for the farm, and it wasn't turning a very good profit, and she wasn't making much money because she has lupus. Did I get that right? Okay, you choose not to answer, that's fine. I say this to you, Dennis, because these are all understandable things, if they're true, that would make anybody say, what kind of a cold-blooded bastard is he? This is his family. And didn't he get the money from his father? Wasn't it family money handed down to him? Wasn't it his duty to share that wealth with his family? Instead of knuckle under. Suck it up, sister. This is business. Where's my $1,600? I'm going on a trip. I'm racing yachts around the world. Burning up as much cash as I can. Where's my $1,600? Answer the phone if I call you. Wow. Dennis reached a tipping point. Understandably so, Dennis. Where do you go from here, Dennis? You do have control. Believe it or not, you have control now. Because you can move on now. You're free from that, whatever you want to call them. I don't want to put words in your mouth, call them nasty names on your behalf. It's not my place to do that. You called him the dirty pig. And I think that was a pretty accurate term. Because if everybody else knew in your family, and they did, and the sad thing is, you guys thought you were hiding it from your mom. You didn't hide it from her. She knew. Dirty family secret that everybody tried to keep. The old man's got a bucket full of Viagra. The dirty family secret, and everybody tried to keep it from everybody else. You guys shared it amongst yourselves like brothers and sisters will do to some degree. But the whole plan was to save it from Mom. But Mom knew too. So none of what's happened has come as any surprise to anybody. But now, what now, Dennis? It still comes back to that same central issue as to whether you planned this or whether it just happened as a spur of the moment, and only you can tell me this at this point. Does your father have cameras in his office? Maybe you already know the answer to this one. Seems to me someone as suspicious as he is, someone as tech savvy as he is, likely does. So what's going to happen with this investigation? We go into the computers, we go through every inch of the office, we find all that stuff. The story that you told us, we have to check that. We have to try and verify that what you said was true. I don't believe it. But in the interest of investigative purposes, we do check all those things because it verifies what we've done in our investigation. So these things are going on. Financial records, yours, your father's, it's all open to scrutiny now. All of that. But right here and now, Dennis, is your opportunity before all the other stuff gets dragged out into the full light of day. This is your opportunity, Dennis, to put the brakes on that and say, whoa, okay, I'm not a cold-blooded killer. I didn't plan this. It happened. And here's what happened, and why, and how. It's not a pretty picture, Dennis. any way you look at it, is not a pretty picture. But I have to go back to my belief, my strong belief, that you're a good, honest person who reacted very badly. Make no mistake about that. You are a good, honest person who made a very, very bad mistake and a serious sideways turn from your life. That, you know what, is not in any way indicative of who you are, of who your family expects that you are. And I'm not a doctor. I'm not anything like that. I don't have any psychology skills or anything like that. But I know that when you put a person under so much pressure, so much scrutiny, so much scorn, and so much control, it causes unintended effects and causes people such as yourself to react in ways that you would never have dreamed possible. But Dennis, if I don't hear that from you, it's just me talking. If I don't hear from you anything at all about how this happened, and we have to execute search warrants and all that stuff, when you have the opportunity to give a plausible explanation for what happened, but choose not to, then it becomes a situation of, well, there must be a little more to this. Perhaps Dennis did have this all planned out. And I don't know. I don't know you, Dennis. All I know is that I've watched you for the last several hours. Listened to Steve speaking with you, listened to your responses, watched your responses, gauged your responses, and drawn my own conclusions. There's absolutely no doubt about what happened and who did it. The question is why, Dennis? And only you, at this point in time, can provide the why. We'll do all the other stuff, all the hows and all that stuff, but it's up to you to decide where this goes. Because you can't unring this bell. And the echo of this bell is still ringing in this room. And it'll ring for some time to come. And you know that, Dennis. We can't unring this bell. I am personally sorry for what's happened to you and to your family. But it's happened. Neither you or I can change that. All the money in the world cannot change any of this. Now, it's moving on time. It's manning up time. You know what man up means? Tell it to your kids all the time. You've done this. Be honest with me. That's what we tell our kids. We'll deal with this, but be honest with me. That's what we tell our kids. Your family is behind you. You know they're behind you. Because why? Because I've seen their reactions to what's happened to their father, their husband. I've seen their reactions. And it's not the reaction that we expect from someone who we love, when someone we love and respect has been taken. None of them showed that reaction. So the situation that you are now in, Dennis, and that they are aware that you are in, is something that doesn't change the way they feel about you. I'm quite certain when I say that. We all just wish this hadn't happened. Every last one of us. But it did. So now, Dennis, it's the way forward. Pick the path forward, Dennis. And the path forward is, why did Dennis do this? Is Dennis a cold-hearted, murderous, conniving person? Or did Dennis finally get sick and tired of being browbeaten and abused and watching his family be abused by this guy who sails all over the world racing expensive yachts, doing whatever he wants, taking people here, taking people there, arguing with his mother over $150 worth of groceries? That gets pretty old, doesn't it, Dennis? Damn right it does. So this wasn't about financial gain for Dennis. Isn't that right? This was about ending the tyranny. I've had enough of this. You're not treating me like this anymore. Or maybe there was no conscious thought. Maybe it was just like, ah! Was it just a moment of flash of whatever? Just no plan, it just happened?
Excuse me, I didn't mean to yawn.
I know you didn't mean to yawn. Remember what I told you about body language, stress? Yawning is a way of the body ridding itself of stress. Man, you're under so much stress, Dennis. I know that. Why? Because I'm the guy that's putting it on you. And I told you about that. This is what we have to do. We have to find a path forward. You're the person that has the answers, because only you were there. Tell me about it, Dennis. Tell me how this happened. Dennis, you went there. You went there and you were going up the stairs to confront him about whatever, I don't know. You went up there to confront him. I'm sorry. You went up there to confront him about this. And it was just like, I can't do this. And you left. You didn't want this confrontation. You tried to avoid this confrontation. You did what you could to avoid the confrontation. But then you sat in your car and you said, I have to deal with this. I cannot let this man control my life and my family's life anymore and disrespect us in the way that he has all these years. I can't take this anymore. Is that the way it happened, Dennis? Tell me how it happened. Or was there somebody there? Were you waiting for his assistant to leave? Thought she left? Is that how it happened? She's been with him for 31 years, 32 years. You didn't want her to be any part of this nastiness. That's for certain. It's supposed to be between he and you. How did he bring this about, Dennis? How did he make this happen? What did he say to you? Belittled you once too many times? That was it? That's enough? I can't make this go away, and nor can you. Do you want some water, coffee, or anything?
Water would be nice.
Yeah? Nothing else? You sure?
No.
Okay, let me get you some water. Sorry, we don't have very big cups.
Oops.
But you want more? Say so, I'll get you more. Dennis, this is a horrible, difficult situation. And Steve and myself have tried to treat you well. Have we treated you okay? I know it's difficult to answer that question, but...
Yes, but my lawyer told me that I should no longer speak, or don't speak until he gets there, or whatever. So I have to trust that that advice was the right thing to do.
Okay. You've received a lot of advice over the years from all kinds of people. And please don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying your lawyer's advice is right or wrong. However, this is about what your heart tells you right now, Dennis. This is about, your lawyer doesn't know, and I'm not going to spend too much time here, okay, on this lawyer stuff, but your lawyer does not know what happened. You and I both know what happened. Perhaps you told your lawyer exactly what happened. I don't know, and I don't want to know, because that's a completely private conversation. But this is about what Dennis knows in his heart needs to happen. You're a good Catholic person.
What I know in my heart is that I was told that I should call somebody, so I did.
Yep, that's right. And you've exercised your rights to a lawyer, and we've given you that opportunity.
That person
Yep.
who I called said, just, don't talk anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going, that's what my heart tells me. My head tells me to respect that is the right thing to do.
Okay.
And it just seems like the right thing to do. And
Why? Why does it seem like the right thing to do?
it's following advice.
Have you always followed the advice that you've been given? Always, every single time?
From experts, I tend to feel that it's good to trust them, yeah.
Well, all of the executives at Enron were experts, weren't they?
Yeah, I don't think these guys we're not talking about that.
No, we're not. We are absolutely not. And I'm glad you recognize that, Dennis. Dennis, is Lisa in on this? Is your wife in on this? Is this part of the plan? Are you being controlled by your wife about this? You have to know that we will look at every single possibility. If you have nothing further to say, if you are not in a position to say, what you think, what you know, what your heart tells you to do, we will look at everything. And there's so many different angles here. We know you're the instrument, but why? You're the mechanism. Why? And is somebody else behind this? But again, it comes back to, Dennis, was this a plan? Or was it a spur of the moment crime of passion, if you will? Because passion doesn't have to be between lovers. I think you'll agree that there's passion in families. You can have a passionate argument with your brother, sister, father, mother. They're passionate arguments, especially where money is involved. Sometimes passion causes us to say and do things that we instantly regret later. Is that a fair assumption? I think it is a fair assumption, Dennis. You know that everybody else in the family's been talked to. You know that you'll continue to talk to them again and again, as much time as it takes, as much effort as is required will be expended to find the truth. But right now, you and I have the ability to answer so many of those questions. It's within this room between you and I that these answers exist. You control that. You know you cannot unring this bell. We've already been through that. But yet, you can control what happens to you and to the rest of your family from here on out. You have that power. I don't have that power. I don't. But you do. Do you believe me when I say that? That strength lies in you? You may feel that at this point in time you don't have a lot of options. But you absolutely do. You have the option of relieving your family of a lot of questions. That's within you. Or you can fire up a whole bunch more questions. Because we need answers. If there's no answers from you, somebody else may have answers. Crimes of passion start at home, within the family. You grew up under his thumb. Your whole family grew up under his thumb. Nothing happened. You got divorced. That got ugly. She got a whole bunch of money, which she wasn't entitled to.
She was entitled to it.
You think?
Yep.
Automatically entitled to half the money?
Mm-hmm.
Good for her. You never got any. You had to get a loan. And she got money. Been there, Dennis. Been there. I didn't think that my ex-wife was entitled to half of my future monies. Sorry. She made choices. Anyway, that's for another time. But anyway, I'm glad you think that you're satisfied with that. But guess what? That puts you way, way behind. Put her up on top of things, and you way, way behind. So now guess what? We're creatures of comfort. We don't want to be alone. And why should we? So a new wife comes along. Ooh, Olin family. Giddy up. Been together for a while. Suddenly sees the lay of the land. Dennis, why aren't you getting any money from him? Do you see how ugly this gets? Do you see how ugly this gets, Dennis? It's not. It's what we have to do. It's where this investigation has to go. Because we don't have answers. I've already touched on this whole family reaction to Dick's death. And it's unusual. I'll be polite. But I've already told you that I understand that based on my own personal life. So I do get it. But, key factor here, Dennis. Spotlight's on you. I think you noticed that. And what we're not seeing, what I'm not seeing, and I'm feeling, is any kind of remorse for your situation, for your family situation. Because guess what? The snowball is rolling and rolling and rolling. And there's no remorse. So we go back to, well, if I'm not seeing any remorse, and I'm not seeing any efforts at reconciliation from Dennis, then it speaks to me that there's some planning involved. That he doesn't have remorse, because guess what? There isn't any remorse. How did you think that you wouldn't be discovered? How is that? So, your lack of remorse, Dennis, and maybe it's there. Maybe you're so messed up in this whole situation that the remorse is there, but it's just, you don't know what to do. You're just spinning. And I fully understand that. You've gone from a chartered accountant to this, just sitting inside this room. Boom, in the blink of an eye. And things will never be the same. And you're aware of that. So there is remorse in you, although I'm not seeing it. And it's a key part of your story. It has to be, Dennis. Because everything we've talked about here is part of this investigation. And at some point, we'll be looking at this conversation and saying, where's the remorse? Where's the reaction from Dennis? Because clearly Dennis now knows where he's at in life. But yet, we're not seeing the remorse come through. And it's got to be there, Dennis, and it can't be very far from the surface. Because if it is a long way down from the surface, then we were looking at a cold-blooded killer. And I want to believe that I'm not looking at a cold-blooded killer. I want to believe that. But if Dennis has the means to say stop, my family doesn't have anything to do with this, you idiot. This is between me and the old man. Don't even think about looking at my family. Me and the old man had it out. Shit happened. There's my remorse. Or not. Or maybe all we ever get to see is Dennis with his arms folded, looking at his feet. Sorry about what's going on, Ma. Couldn't say much, you know, you understand, eh? Sure they'll understand, won't they, Dennis? I'm not so sure about that. Why'd you go to the wharf in Renforth? You didn't go there to see the kids. And here's why. I'll tell you why. Because coincidentally, 2 days ago, I think it was, or maybe it was yesterday, I don't know. The days run together. In my police car, I work in an unmarked car, and I have a computer in my car. And quite often, I don't work in the office. I'll go work in my police car. So I chose to go sit down at the wharf in Renforth and sit and type reports. Turned off my cell phone, turned off the radio, sat there and got a bunch of work done that needed to get done. While I was there, I was watching the kids that are out kayaking, taking kayaking lessons. I was there first thing in the morning, and I watched them. So guess what? They're out there kayaking, doing their kayaking lessons and all that. So guess what? At 6:30 at night, they're still going to be down there kayaking? Because that's what you told us you went down, because the kids are down there kayaking. So that's not why you went there, if in fact you went to the wharf in Renforth. You didn't go there to see the kids. So now what are we doing, Dennis? What do you suppose the cops are doing? Searching that whole area. Looking for any kind of evidence that we may find. Are we going to find any remorse down there, Dennis? Is there remorse stuffed into the garbage can or thrown into the water? What do you think? Can I get you some more water?
No, I'm good.
Sure.
Yeah.
Dennis, it is 9:55 p.m. The DVD is ending, so we're closing this part of the interview. You and I are staying here, but they're just changing the DVD. Okay, so at 9:55 we're concluding this DVD. I'll come back in a minute. I'm gonna get some more water, okay?
Sure.
You can't stop me. Right. Water. And I brought you coffee.
Yeah, I don't drink coffee.
Well, they didn't bring me one, but I won't drink it in front of you. That would just be wrong. And it's Tim Hortons, and that's crap. You don't drink coffee at all?
No, I think I'm allergic to it. It gives me migraine headaches.
Yeah. I used to have migraine headaches a lot. Mostly shift work was what it did it for me. This is all about family. All of this is about family. And family issues are hugely complex. And we know by the types of injuries that happened that it was a crime of passion. That there's a great amount of feeling and passion in what happened. But again, only you can provide the details. And because it's about family, and I already said this to you, your family knows the situation that you were in right at this point in time. And you showed your concern for your family by saying to me, just shortly after I come into the interview, can you tell my family to go home? They don't have to hang around here. Family. Concern. So, let's play a guessing game, Dennis. Who's the one member of your family still here?
My wife.
No. She's not really family.
Hmm?
She's not really family. She's married to family. Your mother is still here. So, she is still here, Dennis. Your long-suffering mother. How did you get that scratch on your left arm? Was there a struggle last night? Just got a little bit of abrasion down there. Did that happen during a struggle? Is that what happened?
Probably just did that now.
No, I noticed it quite a while ago. I'm looking for something for you to say what happened. That it wasn't cold-blooded. That your wife's not involved. That your mother's not still here hoping hoping that she doesn't get brought in here next. I mean, we've already spoken to her, but why is she back? Is she back for you? To give you support? Or is she back because she's expecting that she should come in and say that she put you up to this, that she had a part in this? Mothers can be very controlling too, even if they're on the outside. I don't know, Dennis. All I know is that she's sitting out there. And that we still don't know what motivated you. I'm guessing she wants answers too. But she's here. And I'm not, for any, please don't misunderstand me, I'm not saying your family deserted you and they all went home. My God, they had to. Kids, dogs, supper, medication, pick any one of them. But the overwhelming fact is, Dennis is going to have to deal with this. And you will have to deal with this, Dennis. And it's your choice on how to deal with this. It really is your choice. And I have to say, you're not dealing effectively with it.
I'm not what?
Not dealing effectively with it.
Oh, but that's a different
Mindset?
mindset than
Yeah.
what the lawyer said. That dealing effectively with this would be to wait till he got here and just wait.
How long do you think you can wait? Oh, you do know, Dennis. You already know. The echoes are still ringing in this room. And once we go beyond this room, the echoes are still ringing. And we cannot stop that. Your lawyer can't stop that. The church can't stop it. You can silence the bell to some degree because you know the real truth. Truth I've offered to you in a bunch of different scenarios amount to not much more than a fishing trip at this stage of this investigation. Isn't that true? I know certain things. I know that you drove there. So you say, I know what you've told us. I know that what you told us is untrue. It's bogus. And it doesn't stand up to the light of day. It doesn't stand up to a midnight light. And you know that. Where do you go from here, Dennis? And I've asked you this before. What is your expectation of what can happen for you from now on? Things can happen. I don't control everything about what will happen, but I do know that you can control the way things will happen. But what you're doing right now is of no relevant value. In fact, I would suggest it's of great harm to you.
Why would a lawyer suggest something that would be harmful?
You have great respect for lawyers.
No, it's just, it seemed logical.
Let me go back to children. And as parents, when we find our child in a situation where there is no way out, where there is no element of doubt in what you believe as a parent and what your child is saying, you tell the child certain things, don't you? You tell them what their choices are. You tell them that there's consequences to what they've done. But you also tell them, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Dennis, if you bring your children up in a different fashion, then when what I'm saying to you now would be completely alien. So if what I'm saying to you now is completely alien, you need to tell me. Because I believe that you were brought up in a Christian household, Catholic household, with a good, strong mother, and certainly a strong father. You can't deny he was a strong father. Parenting skills, not such 100%. No warm fuzzies there. However, he knew right and wrong, and he certainly told you what was right and wrong. And I'm sure that you've instilled that in your children as well. Maybe not to the same degree that he did in you. Hopefully not, because from the sounds of things, he wasn't such a great parent. Certainly not such a great role model. But point of fact is, as a parent, we expect certain things from our children. And when we have our children in a situation where we absolutely know that what they have done is not what they're saying, we tell them, you ain't getting this by me. I know different. Here's going to be the consequences. You cannot lie your way out of this. People have a whole lot more respect for others, especially loved ones, who can admit that what they've done is wrong. There's no way around this, it was wrong. And we expect, and in some cases demand, as parents from our children. It's no different. And when we grow up, we're still children. We still act like children. In your case, you still have your mother. She has expectations too of what Dennis will do. And how Dennis will face this. She has those expectations. And she will have, I expect, she will have a reaction, 2 different reactions versus your 2 different responses. She will have one reaction to, because you will have to tell your mother the truth. If you never tell me the truth, you'll have to face your mother and tell her the truth. There is no way that you can't do that. So she will have 2 reactions to what you tell her when you tell her the truth. Or you know what, Dennis? You may not have to tell her the truth. She may already know the truth. She may know how far, because I certainly don't. She may know how far your father pushed you and how hard he rode you. And she may be willing to say that. She may already have said that to the other officers that interviewed her. I don't know. But you will have to face your mother. And she will know the truth, whether you admit the truth to her or you don't. She will know the truth. And then it comes down to an issue of respect and love. Is there unconditional love? Sometimes yes. You see what I mean, Dennis? This bad dream doesn't go away. My lawyer said no. Does Mom buy that? Well, you know, Mom. Just advice. Well. it comes full circle to who you are, Dennis, as a person, as a professional person, as a career, in your career. This issue comes full circle back to that. I planned this. I was going after whatever I could get. Wife was on me. I got bills. Come on, you guys understand that, hey? Come on. He had a lot of money, and it wasn't all his. He got it from his old man. Come on, you guys understand. I should have got some of that. So there's one version. But the other version, there's only two here, Dennis. There is only two versions. I've just given you one nasty version. The other version, I just snapped. I just got tired of him and his mistress, her showing up at things, saying things to people right in front of our faces. I talked to his business partner, said, put an end to this. He knew about it. Enough said. It didn't end. I just, you know what? I wanted to deal with it, and he just wouldn't listen. I snapped. I lost it. That's it. I just snapped. I mean, I can't put words in your mouth. I look at your arm, I see some scrapes on your arm. I look at your throat and your chest, and I see scrapes there. I don't know. Is that part of a struggle? Did you guys have a struggle? Or is this something that happened afterwards? I don't know. I'm only hoping, I'm only asking, I'm only suggesting that Dennis Oland doesn't seem to me to be a cold-blooded planner of an execution of his father. That's not what I'm looking at here. I don't see any remorse, and that's a wild card. Are you a card player? That's a wild card, man. The remorse situation. But you know what? I can discount that remorse because I've been in your shoes with a person who, I don't really have a lot of respect for. Yeah, okay, we're blood. You're my parent. But there's no love there. So the remorse I can kind of put to one side. But okay, if you don't have remorse for your dad, your father, because he's not dad. I don't think you would ever have called him dad. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm just projecting my own story, I guess. But if you don't have remorse for your father, out there is your mother. And there should be some kind of remorse there. Because I don't think I'd be wrong in saying that she loves you. And she probably laments more what's happening to you than the loss of your father and her husband. I'm guessing that issue is down here compared to how she feels about Dennis, her son. She goes to bed every night at 9:30. Not tonight. She's back here for you. You may say to yourself, I don't know what you're thinking, but you may be thinking to yourself, yeah, good luck, copper. You think you're going to portray me as a cold-blooded killer? Good luck with that. I'm a freaking chartered accountant, man. I'm not known for being cold-blooded killers. Maybe that's rolling around in your head. But in the absence of any proof to the contrary, or any indication from you, or words otherwise, then it's a very real scenario. Because of all that you stood to gain by this. But I'm trying to find out, Dennis, from you, whether this is about money or whether this is about passion. Because they are worlds apart. Worlds apart, Dennis. But you want the evidence to show that you sat in a chair and closed your eyes, and for all intents and purposes appear to be sleeping while I'm trying to talk to you about this? Is that what the image you want to project? No remorse, and guess what, Copper? I'm going to have a snooze while you're talking to me about being a cold-blooded killer. No, I'm just going to have a snooze. Man, I know you're confused, Dennis. I know that. But something I'm saying to you has to be ringing some sort of truth in your head. There has to be something in your head saying, man, I'm not looking for who did this anymore. We're so far beyond that, Dennis. That is the most insignificant detail of this whole conversation. So get past the point of saying, I did it. You've already said that. I know what you're saying. Oh, I didn't say that. Yeah, you did. In so many different ways. And a trained investigator can point that out. In many different ways. That's not what we're here for now. We're beyond that. That's done. It really does, Dennis, come back to why did Dennis do it? I've offered you the only plausible scenarios. Unless there's something that I haven't covered, I can't think of it. It's either about greed or it's about passion. You know, in life, Dennis, we accept people's limitations, and we know what happens to people when they're pushed past their limits. It can only take so much. That's real life. You mentioned very early on in this investigation that you hoped it didn't have anything to do with the crackhead. You know, crackhead breaking in and all that sort of stuff. Well, guess what? None of that happened. There's no crackheads here. You are not anything close to my usual run-of-the-mill clients. Sitting there picking scabs. Every time I step out of the room, they turn around and pick zits out of their hair and scabs off their noses and stuff. That's not who you are. You're not ever going to be like that. You're a person here through circumstance. And I'm asking you, not getting any answers, but I'm asking you, are you here because of circumstances beyond your control? Is that your story? When do you tell your story, if not now? If not now, when you have the opportunity to tell the unvarnished truth. If not now, Dennis, when? And who to? Or do you sit there for the next 6 months with your head in your hands? Or do you pick it up and move on?
I'm sorry, you're telling me I'm not allowed to speak to a lawyer, or?
Oh, you've already spoken to a lawyer.
I'm sorry?
You've already spoken to your lawyer. You've exercised the right to speak to a lawyer. You satisfied the requirements that are put upon us.
Okay.
Why did you think that I said you could?
Oh, I didn't suggest that you said.
I asked you if this was the best time. I suggested to you this was the best time to give your version of the story, because I said to you, if not now, when would you tell it to? And who would you tell it to? Maybe, I don't know if that's what you misconstrued there. I'm not sure.
No, you said I'd be sitting here for 6 months.
Oh, no. Guess what? You might be. I'm not gonna. No, you will not be sitting here for 6 months. But this is not what I mean by saying, when I said that, it was a euphemism for the fact that for the next 6 months, if you choose to sit there and say nothing, and I don't physically mean sit there, but to anybody else that's involved in this investigation, and your family, and all the people that are now affected by what's taken place today, if you choose to sit there with your head in your hands and say nothing, wow. It's not just about us here in this room, Dennis. And you have to know that. Right now, it's very much focused on you and I. But it absolutely is not about just you and I. And so, my point is, we don't know, because Dennis hasn't said what happened. I've given you a couple of scenarios, and I can't think of any other reasons in your situation what would have happened. You haven't offered any explanation. So our investigation carries on, continues on, and if we don't come to a conclusion with your assistance, then we will draw conclusions, because that's what we do, and then we present them in court for other people to consider. Whereas if you and I discuss what happened openly, honestly, and fairly, it goes a long way to how everything else flows. Because again, this doesn't come back to who did this. That's done. We know that. It's why. And the why is a huge factor in everything else. In your dealings with your mother when you leave this room. She probably knows why, and I think I'm right as to why. But if I don't know why, then we have to go further. We have to talk to more people, do more digging, find a version of the truth that fits this big puzzle, when in fact I'm sitting here with the person who has the answer to the Rubik's Cube. You're the person who can deal with this. You're the only person that knows the real truth. Or are you? Because as I've said, the scenario I presented about your wife, your new wife, is a very valid one. That she all of a sudden wants a little bit more of the pie, and it's not there for her. Not only that, but Jesus, you guys are in debt. And the old man should cough up some money. That's a very valid scenario. If we want to go, if we need to go to the point of leaving no stone unturned to get to the real truth. And that's harsh. To put everybody else through that. Very harsh. I can't say it any plainer than that, Dennis. I can't say it any plainer that you're the person that controls that aspect by being able to tell your story to me and be able to tell your story to your family. Because they already know who they think Dennis is. And now all of a sudden, they're not so sure. Dennis isn't saying anything. Putting it up, you know. He's covering for somebody. Covering for his wife, covering for his sister. I don't know.
Just doing what he was told to do.
Who told you to do it?
Hmm?
Or doing what he was told to do? You're finishing my sentence.
Right.
Yeah, okay. I thought you were adding your own part to the sentence. Well, exactly. That's where my sentence would have finished. Or is Dennis doing what he was told to do?
By his lawyer, by saying.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay. Well, your lawyer's not the one that has to live in Dennis's skin. Only Dennis can live in Dennis's skin. It's apparently quite itchy right now.
It's cold too.
It's just, you know, it sucks. There's nothing better to say than that. All these doors opening, closing, slamming, more people coming in, more people being interviewed and talked to. No stone unturned, Dennis. But yet you and I are this close, closer to the truth than any of these other people in these other rooms that are coming and going. You and I are the ones. Did you go there with a plan, Dennis? Is that why you left? Because you chickened out? Or maybe you didn't go there and walk away like you said you did. Maybe you only went there the once and then things all blew up. I don't know. I don't know. I want desperately to hear your truth. That's why I'm spending all this time here with you, to learn your truth, to give you the opportunity to hold your head up, to be able to face the people closest to you, the ones that mean the most to you, to be able to tell them what happened. People make mistakes, Dennis. And if I go through the rest of my life and never make another mistake, man, they'll be putting up buildings after me. But that's not happening. I'll fall down tomorrow and I'll fall down next week. I'll screw up something. Because that's what happens. People make mistakes. It's not how far you fall, Dennis. It's how far you bounce back afterwards. How high you climb. But there's only one way to climb out of any hole that you've dug for yourself. And that's one step at a time. One step at a time. And the steps begin to you, for you, right here in this room. This is where it starts. Or you go out the door and you tell your family, I didn't tell them a thing. They didn't get nothing out of me. Not making me sing. That's good, eh, Ma? I didn't tell her nothing.
That sounds like your scout guys.
That ain't a pretty picture, is it? But that's what it is. But you know what? I treat them fair. I try to treat everybody fair. I had one guy come in here. We chased him. He had a stolen car. And the cops chased this stolen car. Smashed up 3 police cars. We finally got him penned in on the Harbor Bridge, dragged him out through the window. Did all the usual nasty cop stuff to people that we chase in high-speed chases and drag through windows. Brought him in here. I brought him upstairs and I said, tell me what happened. I'll tell you nothing, he says. I said, well, tell me what happened. I said, I'm willing to hear your story. He said, you won't believe me. I said, well, there's only one way for you to find out if I believe you or not, and that's for you to tell me your story, tell me exactly what happened. I said, you're charged with car theft, you're charged with shoplifting, you're charged with evading the police, all that stuff. He said, you won't believe me. Anyway, I convinced him to tell me his story. He said, I didn't steal that car. I said, really? That's a good one. So why were you running from the police? He said, well, because I got a parole warrant. And he said they were after me, I thought, for shoplifting, because he says they got me on camera at Sears and I was running out the door and I jumped into that car and left, but I didn't steal that car. I said, okay, good. How'd you get the car? So, well, this guy comes to our crack shack and he wants some dope. And he said, so I said, give me your keys, I'll go get you some dope, because that's what they do. And I know that to be true. So he says, I went and got him some dope. Came back to the crack shack, we partied for a bit. Guy liked his dope, he was having a good time. He said, go get me some dope. So he said, did it again. He did it twice. No worries. Went back to the guy. 3rd time. The guy needs more dope. So he says, this time I decided I needed some stuff for me. And he says, I went to Sears, stole some bed in the bags and stuffed them in the back. He says, but in the meantime, the guy got panicky because he was gone with his car too long. And so he calls you guys and reported it stolen. Anyway, the reason I tell you that, Dennis, is because we didn't charge him for stealing that car, because I believed what he had to tell me. I offered him the opportunity to give his side of the story. I trusted him. I believed in what he told me. And upon completion of that interview with him, he fessed up to his situation and he got charged for the things that he did. Then I went back to the car, the owner of the car who reported his car stolen. I brought him back in and I sat him down. I said, here's the real truth, mister. And I told him what happened. And he also ended up telling me his truth, which, interestingly enough, coincided with the crackhead. The reason I tell you that, Dennis, is I want to be fair with you. This investigation will be as fair to you as it can be. But there's so much riding on what you have to say. We can't stop it. You know that, Dennis. This has happened. We can't stop it, and now all we can do is deal with it the best way possible. And it comes down to 2 choices, passion or greed. And I don't know. Part of me says, this guy's a chartered accountant, he's all about money. Then the other part of me, who grew up in an abusive home, says, he was pushed too far. But the policeman in me says, we go down both roads. Because Dennis can't bring himself around to be truthful about what's gone on. So we go down both roads, Dennis. And
I disagree with what you just said.
How so?
Because I was told by someone that I'm supposed to trust and honor, or honor is not the
honor, no.
The lawyer, that I don't say anything. So,
but doesn't that go against your grain as a person who?
It's very frustrating. It's very frustrating to sit here and have to listen and to not be able to speak at all, because I can't.
You absolutely can. You're completely wrong on that.
I can't.
You're just following it. You're making a choice, Dennis. You're making a choice to listen to some advice that somebody has given you.
It's
And that's all you're basing your decision on, that choice. And it is your choice, not your choice, not anybody else's.
I have to. Okay, I have to. Because
This has got so much riding on it. You know that, Dennis. But the outcome is very much dependent upon you and how you face it. It very much does depend on you and you living in your skin from here on out. And you know, if you take away the severity of this situation, Dennis, and you look at any other kind of scenario, any other kind of situation where a person has made a mistake, there's two ways to clean up that mistake. One is to acknowledge it and to move on with it, and the other one is to deny it. Oh, no. Nope, nope. That's all I can say. Nope, nope.
if I made a mistake, I could acknowledge it through a lawyer. If I didn't make a mistake, I could acknowledge it through a lawyer.
Are you afraid of me? Are you
don't
afraid to?
You don't represent me.
No, Dennis, only you can represent you. Nobody can ever represent you as a person, as a man, as a human being. Nobody can represent who you are. Nobody can represent what you stand for as a human being, your morals, your values, your purpose in life. Nobody ever represents that. You can't buy that by paying a lawyer. You can't buy that by paying a marketing firm. And listen, this is the image I want to create, their marketing firm, lawyer, or anybody else. This is the image I want to create. I'm a happy guy, smiling all the time, you know, hand out candy. So go ahead, make that image. You can't do that. That doesn't ever happen. What happens is people know you by your actions and your deeds and your words. That's how people know you. You can't have somebody represent that to you because it doesn't mean anything to people. What means something to people is when Dennis hands out candy to poor kids on the street and takes kids for carnival rides and does these altruistic things.
Then why does having a lawyer prevent any of that from happening?
Dennis, I can't answer that because it puts me in a difficult predicament situation. I can't. I can't. It just does. I'd love to say, I'd love to debate that with you, and I'd love to say that, but I can't. So I'm afraid I can't answer that question. I'd love to. I can't. So I come back to the fact that, Dennis, this is about you and your beliefs. This is about you as a person, and this is about your ability to be truthful in a situation and try and put your best foot forward. And I honestly, truly believe I wouldn't be sitting here all this time talking to you if I didn't believe in what I was saying to you. There's two roads to go down for me as an investigator and for the rest of this investigative team. We keep slamming doors all night and bringing new people in and doing this investigation. And we have to consider every plausible scenario. So the whodunit is gone. It's out the window. We know whodunit. Now it's
If it's so easy,
greed.
why are you afraid of me talking to a lawyer or consulting with a lawyer?
I'm not afraid. We gave you that opportunity and you did.
Yeah, in some sly way. If
No,
you want
no.
to call a lawyer, so I called a lawyer.
And you did. And you spoke with him. And that's exactly what's required
You
by
guys are
law.
awfully sneaky.
It's not sneaky at all.
It is very sneaky. It's extremely sneaky. It's so sneaky. It takes away a lot of trust that you.
Oh, please don't talk to me about trust. Please don't do that, Dennis.
Okay.
You deprived your family of trust in you by your activities, by what you did to your father. So don't talk to me how I've let you down and broken your trust. Please, don't even go there. Do not try to reverse this little role here, because that ain't flying, Dennis. Because your mother is sitting out there. There's trust. There's broken trust. So trust between you and I, if your feelings are hurt, sorry about that.
You're sneaky. That was sneaky.
It's what's required by the law, and that's what we did.
Yeah, well, you're sneaky. You did the minimum, absolute minimum that you could have been required.
I never did
You
the
know,
absolute
you
minimum.
know it. You know in your heart. You talk about your heart. You know in your heart that it is.
Nope.
You're a reasonable man, right?
You're absolutely wrong. Totally, 100%.
Now you're lying to me.
No, not even a little bit.
Yeah.
You'll find that out. You will know in the fullness of time that what I'm saying to you is true and that I have done what is required.
Yes. Yeah,
You will know
absolute
that in the
bare-
fullness and trial.
Mhm.
We still have a responsibility to the victim of this crime. As dislikable and disagreeable as this man was in his life, we have a responsibility to him and to the rest of his family to ensure that we do a proper, thorough, fair investigation and bring that person to justice. And I'm sitting here looking at the person who's responsible for this. So it comes down to really, Dennis, all it is a question of greed or passion. And, you know, your lack of remorse, and now you going a little bit on the offensive and the attack, saying how unfair you've been treated by, you know, all that sort of stuff. And, you know, it's just, again, that speaks further.
I think it's defensive, not offensive. You made the statement and I defended.
Perspective. But it's skating away from the issue at hand. And the issue at hand is, how do you want to deal with this? And I guess you're still sticking with the dealing, as in not dealing with it. As in not.
I just
plain
thought
not.
there was a process, and
Well, you thought wrong, Dennis. You don't know. You're a chartered accountant. You don't know. You're
I'm
not a
not
lifelong
I'm not a
criminal.
chartered
You're not a chartered accountant? I'm
No.
sorry. I apologize for that.
It's okay.
I thought you were an accountant. You're an investment?
Investment advisor.
I'm sorry. My
It's
mistake.
okay. It's
I've been saying chartered
it's
accountant all
okay.
along, and that
Doesn't
probably
mean
climbs up you and rubs you the wrong way, and I apologize for that. You're an investment advisor. So I have to do my job properly, Dennis, because my job is to testify in court. I have to have the respect of the court. I have to have the respect of the Crown prosecutors. They have to know that when they take a case to court and that I've been involved, that they aren't going to have to do any backpedaling, and they aren't going to have to cover up and not cover up, but not going to have to try and smooth things over and fix up my mistakes. So rest assured that I have done what's required and that this investigation will proceed as required. So again, we're coming back to the issue at hand, which is your response to it. And, you know, at some point, I guess we have to say, well, guess what, you know? I've given Dennis every single opportunity to give us what happened in that room. If Dennis doesn't provide us with what's happened in that room, all I know right now is that what Dennis told us, he hasn't said what happened in that room. He's told us things that we know are not true and the things that we can prove aren't true. So that's all we have, is that Dennis told us something that isn't true. And, you know, I mean, the forensic evidence, all that stuff, that's gonna come along. I mean, that's all there, right? And I believe fully that forensic evidence will support what we're saying. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind. So, you know, but I don't know science. I don't claim to and all that. So it just comes back to the situation of Dennis's whole demeanor and attitude and approach, if you will, to mine. In this case, Steve talked to you for quite a while. Now I've talked to you for quite a while.
my
And
attitude
so-
and approach are to do what I was told to do.
But Dennis, you can't tell me that in every situation of your life, you've taken a piece of advice from somebody who you, by your own admission, is, you know, Anyway, you can't say that you followed every single bit of advice that you've ever been
when
given.
you're being accused of something so big.
Oh, it's big. Oh, it's big, Dennis. I'm glad you appreciate that much, if nothing else.
Yeah.
But the point of fact is, Dennis, because it is so big, you just can't walk away from it. And in this early stage of the investigation, at this early time, when you're the person that's in the spotlight, and you are, without a doubt, the person that's responsible for your father's death, you're being given options. You're being given scenarios, if you will, of what could have happened. I mean, I guess maybe what the problem is I haven't hit on anything that really did happen. And so, you know, I don't know. But you know what? The investigation will go where the investigation goes. And it'll prove what it proves. And I mean, it's going to go a whole bunch more different directions because you, the only person who has direct knowledge at this time, hasn't provided the missing pieces.
And if I did anything wrong, the lawyer will likely tell me to fess up. If I didn't do anything wrong,
I have no idea what a lawyer would say.
Oh, come on.
Okay? All I'm dealing with is you and me. I don't deal with lawyers. Okay? I deal with you and me.
You and I are done.
That's unfortunate. Because it's not over.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know if you know that. I think maybe you think you can just pretend it's a bad dream and walk away from it.
No.
There is no denials here, Dennis, anymore. Not that there was any denials in the first place. And that's a telling situation all by itself. You know, but I guess, you know, you're right, because when you say, you know, you and I are done, well, after so long talking, the argument could be made that, hey, he'd say anything to get out of that room by this point.
The argument what?
The argument could be made that, hey, he'd say anything to get out of this room at this point. I just need to talk to my partner for a couple of minutes. I'll be back. Do you want more water or anything? Dennis, I just want to look you square in the eye and give you this opportunity to deal with this right here now, you and I. I know you've had plenty of opportunity to sit here and think about this and to think about where it's going to go. And I hope you fully understand that you're making decisions here that can not be changed, in that this opportunity is growing wings, and it will never be presented again for you at this stage, this early stage in the investigation, to say, whoa, please let's talk. Please listen to my side of the story. Please try and understand how and why this situation developed. This is your opportunity, Dennis. Will you take advantage of that opportunity? Will you tell me what happened? It's a yes or no.
No.
We're done. Right this way.
Dennis wasn't charged until 2013 for the death of his father. He was given a bail about $50,000 that was met, and his passport was surrendered to ensure that he did not avoid his court date. It wasn't until late 2015 that the trial began, and he was found guilty of second-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison without parole for at least 10 of those years. About a year later in 2016, his conviction was overturned due to the trial judge incorrectly instructing the jury about key pieces of evidence during that trial. A second trial was later conducted, in which Dennis's defense team successfully requested a bench trial. This type of trial is removing the involvement of a jury, which makes the judge the sole determiner of the trial. The defense provided a handful of witnesses and videos to account for Dennis's whereabouts at the time of the murder. One video which shows him in the town of Rothesay, about 50 minutes away from St. John. At the same time, witnesses inside of the building below Richard's office claimed to have heard thumping noises. This plus a few other pieces of evidence was enough to create the reasonable doubt Dennis's defense team needed, and he was found not guilty. Another reason it was hard to stick Dennis to this crime was due to the large amount of contamination to the crime scene caused by the St. John Police Force. They often used the office bathroom, which they found days later contained blood of Dennis within it, and the police also used things like the main door to the office without protective gloves on before realizing they should have tested it for fingerprints, potentially ruining any sort of chance of a partial print from it. There was also a bloody footprint at the crime scene, which they also had to examine with the police officers responding to the scene's foots, because a lot of them entered the scene without protective gear on. Another key piece of evidence that was potentially squandered by the police was the jacket that Dennis had worn that day when he visited his dad. He had a brown jacket on, which was hard to kind of detect things with the naked eye, but it was confiscated as evidence for the case, but it wasn't examined until months later. When they examined it, they found a multitude of bloodstains that matched Richard Oland's DNA. While this could be seen as damning evidence, due to the lack of haste from the police to examine the article of clothing, and due to them leaving it for months before analyzing it, the defense argued during court that due to the way that they contained the suit jacket, which was rolling it up in a super tight fashion and putting it into an evidence bag, and leaving it there for quite some time, that those stains could have been transferred throughout the jacket. And while still being used as evidence in the court case, the police officer responding to these questions agreed that it is possible that those bloodstains could have been transferred that way. What are your final thoughts on this situation? I'd love to hear what you think below in the comments, and I'd also love to hear if you'd like more of these videos, because especially if you do, I'd love if you subscribed. That's all for now.